Welcome back. It is Wednesday, October 23rd in the NBA. My four best bets are on the way. What's going on, everyone? My name is Austin from Calling Our Shot. Let's dive into a recap of how we did on opening night. Although, sure, I wish I could speed past it. It was a 1-4 day, down 2.5 units. Naz Reid, shout out him. He was our only winner of the day. He ended with 12 points on the dot. We appreciate him. Our other losers, you look at him, LeBron at the bottom didn't get his rebounds, and then really the other ones were all factored into that blowout in that Knicks and Celtics game. There's a reason I've been limiting the plays the first few days for just a half unit, because a day like a 1-4 could really deplete the bankroll. 2.5 units obviously sucks, but it's something we can bounce back from. As I talked about in yesterday's video, last year we actually started 0-6. We were down 6 units in the hole, and we bounced back and obviously made 33 units last season. Hopefully this is our hole and we can climb out of it and hopefully have an even bigger season. As I said yesterday, every day we're not going to win money, and we got one of our worst days of the season out of the way early. So we're in line for a massive season going forward. I'm not too worried about it. Let's dive into the picks today. As always, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like. We do these videos every single day, and we're going to win a lot more than we lose. Yesterday we took our lumps, but hey, let's bounce back today. We have 2 props and 2 spread picks. Let's dive in. We'll dive into our first pick of the day. Bogdan Bogdanovich of the Atlanta Hawks over 21.5 PRAs, minus 105 on DraftKings. If you don't know what PRAs are, it's points, rebounds, and assists. You combine them all together, and we need that number to be 22 or more for Bogdan Bogdanovich. Now, if your book does not offer a PRA line, which every book should, unless you're on some random offshore type of book. I don't mind Bogdan's over in points, which is 15.5. However, when I talk about his matchups and what I expect to be his role in this game tonight and probably going forward over the next few weeks, I do rather the PRAs, and I'll talk about why. Now, last season, Bogdan Bogdanovich, obviously still on the Atlanta Hawks. He averaged 16.9 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, and 3.1 assists per game. Good for 23.5 PRAs in about 30 minutes and 13 to 14 field goal attempts. So, obviously pretty solid. If he did his average tonight, we'd cash. But obviously the Hawks made some big changes. The first and biggest one, DeJounte Murray is no longer on the team. Obviously DeJounte Murray, a guy that has the ball in his hands a ton, and a guy that when DeJounte was off the floor, it was Trae Young. When Trae Young was off the floor, it was DeJounte Murray. So Bogdan was never a number 1 or heck even the number 2 option sometimes when he's on the court. Now I expect him to be in there, because what did they get in return for DeJounte Murray? Dyson Daniels, a lower usage shooting guard, and Larry Nance Jr., a guy that probably comes off the bench, maybe plays the 4, maybe Onyeka Okongwu is in that second unit as well. So there's not a lot of guys in that second unit that are going to want to shoot the basketball besides Bogdan Bogdanovich. Now, I expect Bogdan to serve as their backup point guard tonight. He'll obviously play a lot of minutes overlapping with Trae Young, which is cool because he can go off ball and be a shooter then. But on ball, I expect him to have the ball in his hands a lot because Kobe Buffkin, the Hawks backup point guard, is out. So we look at this one. I think we'll see the ball in his hands a ton. Last year in 4 games versus Brooklyn, who they played tonight, Bogdan ended with 21, 25, 18, and 20 PRAs. So he was right at this line in every single one of those games. I expect that usage to bump up. And in those games, 13 field goal attempts in all 4, he just didn't shoot the ball well. So even if Bogdan's usage stayed the exact same as last year, if he shot the ball better, he goes over in all these games. He shoots 40%, he goes over. I expect his usage to be a little bit higher without DeJounte Murray, with those other lower usage guys in there, and with no backup point guard like Kobe Buffkin. We could see Bogdan kind of playing that point guard role with that second unit. He's coming off a big Olympics run with, I believe, right, he was on Serbia with Nikola Jokic. He played really well in the Olympics. See if he can carry that into the regular season in the NBA. I really like Bogdan Bogdanovich. 21.5 PRAs is over. I'm only playing it for a half unit because I want to just kind of do a half unit plays for these next few days. Yesterday, we got a little cute trying to take some cat and Josh Hart rebound props and points props for a little bit more than half unit for 0.75. I'll just stick here at just half unit for Bogdan Bogdanovich in PRAs. My second play is going to be a 2-leg same game parlay, and then we'll dive into some spread picks. The 2 legs, here they are. It's 2 Milwaukee Bucks. Brook Lopez to make 1 or more 3-pointers, and Gary Trent Jr. to make 2 or more 3-pointers. Combine them together, it's minus 112 on FanDuel, minus 115 on BetMGM. If you don't know who these guys play for, it's Milwaukee Bucks. Gary Trent Jr., the newer acquisition, signed a vet minimum deal with the Bucks. Kind of didn't get a lot in free agency, so he signed a vet min deal, and we'll see if he can maybe turn that into something better. So obviously, he's pushing all of his chips on the table. He needs a big year, so I anticipate him shooting the ball. But I really like this matchup, and on honestly, I consider taking each of these guys individual overs. Brook is at 1.5 3-pointers. Gary Trent Jr. is at 2.5, both solid plus money. Gary's like plus 130. But I settled on this parlay because I think both of these guys can make one, and then Gary, we need two from him. Brook Lopez, we'll start with him. He made 1 3-pointer in 67 of 79 games last season. Against Philadelphia, he made 1, 3, and 5 threes. So what's a matchup he played pretty well in? And I think it largely comes down to this matchup and how the Sixers are going to defend the Bucks. Now, obviously, the Sixers are down Paul George and they're down Joel Embiid. So Brook Lopez, who's typically getting guarded by Joel Embiid, now will get Andre Drummond. I don't hate that matchup. Andre Drummond, I'd argue, much worse defender than Embiid. And also, Andre Drummond doesn't want to leave the paint, which isn't bad for us, because if he doesn't want to leave the paint, well, then Brook Lopez will be just wide open in the corner for some 3-point opportunities, which is where I think he knocks one down. For Gary Trent Jr., though, on the other side, he's obviously coming over from the Raptors. He will get to face his former head coach, Nick Nurse. So if he wants to dial it up, a legacy performance, go for it. He's also played really well in this matchup before. Gary, 2+ threes in 11 of his last 12 against the Sixers. And in his last preseason game with Giannis and Damian Lillard, he attempted 6 threes and made 2 of them. I think he's going to fall into this Malik Beasley role. Malik Beasley, obviously no longer on the team. He's, I believe, on Detroit, but he's just going to be needed out there for spacing. If he's not knocking down and shooting those threes, it's going to be hard for Giannis and really Damian Lillard to get active. We've also seen Nick Nurse. He loves to take away a team's number one option. So if Giannis gets the ball in the post, don't be shocked if some doubles are coming his way. I think he'll have to kick it out. Even when he's driving, there should be some double teams coming his way. Gary Trent Jr. is arguably the best shooter on the floor for this Bucks roster. I mean, sure, Brook Lopez is out there and Damian Lillard, but he's not more of a spot-up shooter, and you're not going to leave him open. I think Gary out there without Chris Middleton, they're going to need his shooting. I like him to make 2 threes, parlayed with Brook to make 1, minus 112. Wish it was plus money, but we'll take a shot on our first SGP of the year at just a 0.5 unit play. Now I move into some games and spread picks. I'm bringing on Logan. He's going to be involved in these NBA videos going forward. He's going to come in with his favorite spread or total or money line pick every single day. We're probably going to play the game picks for a half unit, probably for a while, unless we get hot on them and then maybe we up them, or maybe it's one that we really love. But game picks have never been our strength for NBA. We really haven't done a ton of them. So this year we're going to experiment with some. So we got 2 half unit plays, both game picks. I'm going to throw it to Logan for his favorite one of the day. Logan, the floor is yours. Take it away.
So for my best bet of the NBA season to start, let's start with a winner, and I'm taking the Miami Heat on the spread. Look, this line opened as a pick'em. We should be seeing 1.5s, maybe some 2s at the time I'm recording this video. But I do like the Heat to get the outright win in this one and to cover the spread for us. If you're looking at this matchup between Miami and Orlando, Miami's actually kind of dominated them. Sneaky. Miami has won 3 of 4 against Orlando in 2023 to 2024. So they only lost one of those games, and that wasn't even the Heat at their best last season. If you look at kind of historically too, Orlando's just 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games against Miami. Kind of one-sided. The Battle of the Sunshine State has gone to the Heat more often than not. And this year, obviously, we got a new year, so you can talk about the past all you want, but this year, I think Miami's outlook will be a lot better. Who will have Hero, Butler, and Bam ready to go in this one. I think Orlando's going to definitely have their hands full against those guys being healthy. Jimmy Butler in a contract year. He should be locked in game 1 of the start of this NBA season. We can question what Jimmy's feeling like in March, when maybe he's taking some load management. But in game 1 of the season, he should be out there. He should be in prime shape to kind of go in this one. Last season, the Heat were 27th in points per game. Injuries definitely didn't help that. The Heat had some pretty nasty lineups out there last year. This year, fully healthy, I think the Heat show up in a big way. Miami's identity is playing defense and forcing tough shots. It's what they do. It's the Spoelstra way. Miami, 4th in points per game allowed last season. Even with all the injuries they had, they still had that defensive identity. They're going to make things tough for Orlando, who struggled to score on the road a lot last season. Just 106.8 points per game. That was 28th in the NBA. I think the Heat's defense is just too much. I think they get contributions from Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam. Give me the Heat as my first pick of the NBA season. Let's start this year off in a great way.
I also like the Heat. I think it's a pretty solid pick. So Heat -1.5. If you want to take them on the money line, you can. We'll just take the -1.5. As for my favorite spread pick of the day, I'm riding with the Pacers -3.5 for a half unit at -125 on BetMGM. Now, a couple books have this line at 4.5. I'm willing to buy that extra, 1 point of juice because it's a half unit play, so that juice isn't going to hurt me as much as if it was a 1 or 2 unit play. I think the Pacers can absolutely come into Detroit and just destroy this Pistons team. I don't like laying points on the road, but I will do it here with the Pacers. Last season, when these two teams played, Detroit got smoked in all of the games. They lost by 23, 8, 14, and 19 points. I think Detroit's better this year, and they brought in some guys like Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and aforementioned Malik Beasley, but I still don't think this team can compete and run up and down with the Pacers. The Pacers are just a juggernaut, and they're returning, obviously, pretty much every single starter and return, and the bench is back, where they made, a pretty good run into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think this team is ready to go. They've had a full offseason with Pascal Siakam. I think push comes to shove. I think it's going to be hard for the Pistons to keep up with them. I like this Pacers bench a lot more than the Pistons, and maybe that's where the difference comes. So I don't love laying points, but I'll take the Pacers -3.5. I think if you were to look at this bet in January or February, this is probably a 8.5, 9-point spread. But given it's the first game of the season, they're not really going to give teams a huge number unless they really think they suck or they're facing a really good team. So I'll take the Pacers -3.5 as my favorite spread pick of the day. So to recap our full picks, we have Bogdan Bogdanovich over in PRAs. We have that 2-leg same game parlay, Brook to make 1 3-pointer, parlayed with Gary Trent Jr. to make 2. We have Logan's pick, Heat -1.5. And then we have Pacers -3.5. Those are our 4 picks, all for a half unit. It's taking it easy, just 2 units total. No ladder challenge today, not getting cute with that. We'll have a Thursday one for the NFL, and then maybe we'll do one for the NBA on Friday. Maybe look at some straight bets. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But you guys have a wonderful day. It's Austin. I'm signing out. Let's have a wonderful, masterful day, and let's get back some units. I'll see you guys back on Thursday with some more picks. Peace.